today I wanted to go through how to change a flat tire on your bike. This is a really important and necessary skill to be able to know how to do. If you get a flat tire when you're out on the road, you want to be able to quickly and efficiently change your tire so you can finish up your ride and get home safely, whether you get the flat tire or whether someone that you're riding with, may get the flat tire. First things first, I want to talk about what you need in your flat kit in order to be able to change your tire. You need your spare tube. You need your CO2 cartridge. You need your CO2 inflator, which goes on the CO2 cartridge to pump the tire. You don't have to, but encourage to make it easier, tire levers. And a multi-tool is always just good to have on hand when you're out on any ride. So that's your flat kit. So we're gonna change the flat tire. So what I like to do when I change a flat tire is to flip my bike over. This just makes it easier to access the tires. You can also lay it down on the ground, but if you're gonna do that, make sure you do it on the opposite side of the chainring, so you're not going to hurt that chainring. So I'm gonna flip my bike over. The first thing that you have to do is you have to take off the wheel, right? So on the wheel, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna release this quick release, right? Open up the quick release. Here, you just flip that up, and then you're gonna take this and you're just gonna loosen this up. Now on some bikes this has to come out, but on some bikes it does not, so it just depends on the make and model of your bike. And then you're just gonna take the tire right off, right? So my tire is not currently flat, but I'm going to pretend that it's flat. And what you'll need to do when you have a flat tire before you actually take the tube out, because what you've got here is you've got your tire, right? And inside the tire is a tube, and that's what that spare tube is gonna replace the inner part of this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna empty out any remaining air that's in this tire. So that's in the tube. So I opened up the valve, right? I opened up the valve in order to do that. And you just push that valve in, so you can see what I'm doing here. And that just lets go of any remaining air that's in that tube. So once the air is gone, I always like to check the tire first at this point, just to see where the damage may have come from. So did you slide over some glass? Did you maybe hit a nail? What's the cause of that flat? Just to make sure that you don't run your hand over some glass as you're trying to get part of this tire off the rim. So just making sure that, safety first every single time. So just going through, checking the top part of the tire here for what the damage may be, seeing if you can maybe find a hole, and then checking the sides of the tire as well. So just looking through the sides, and if you can identify it, that's great. The next step is to actually take half of the tire off and slide it up over the rim. And that's where this tire lever comes into play. So you've got to be careful. Right now, I mean, if you have a flat, your tube is likely already damaged. But if you're just practicing doing this at home, which is why I'm showing you today, I want you to practice doing this, so you're prepared when it happens, either in training or on race day. You want to be careful not to hit the tube with this, because you can cut it and accidentally cause a flat. So just making sure that you're careful when you do this. So you're literally just kind of taking this tire lever and you're lifting over the rim, and then I'm going to slide this around, and you can see how the tire just comes right off. So we've got half off on one side and it's in on the other. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this tire lever down, and I'm going to take off this washer or cap on the valve stem, right? So that I can pull this out, because this is part of the tube. Okay, I'm going to put this in a safe place. I'm going to put it in my pocket. You can put it in your jersey when you're out on the road, but always put your spare parts just right in the back of your jersey. It just makes it easier so you don't lose it. Put it on the ground. It's easy to lose. So what you're going to do at this point, you're going to take the tube out. Okay, so I'm going to reach in here, and I'm going to grab this tube starting at the valve stem, and I'm just going to pull out, and here we go. We've got our tube. Okay, So at this point, what I'm gonna do again is I'm gonna look through and I'm just gonna try and identify the cause of the flat. So looking through and just taking a look to see what the cause of the flat might have been. We're gonna throw this in the back of your jersey. No litter on the ground. You're gonna take your new tube and you're gonna put it in. This one's still good for me, so I'm going to continue to use this one because I don't actually have a flat. What I'm gonna do at this point is you wanna get a little bit of air into this tube to make it easier before you put it back on your bike, before you put it under that tire, right? So all you have to do is, again, you already have this should be open, and if it's not open, then just open it. For a Presta valve, this just opens up like so, and to put air in your tube, you can just blow in it. So that's just what I recommend right now because you don't want to waste any CO2 doing this. So you're gonna blow in the valve just a few breaths and it's gonna put a little bit of air in there. From here, what I'm gonna do is find where the valve goes and I'm gonna put this back in here, okay? And I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna push this tube back under the tire. And you want to be careful because you really want to make sure that tube is in there well and that it's secured and it's not pinched. And we're going to go over that in a minute. Okay, we got the tube in the tire. So at this point, what we're going to do is put the tire back basically in the rim. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start where the valve stem is. Okay, so again, find that valve stem and you're going to put the tire, and this is kind of the hard part, or ends up being the hard part at the end, back inside the rim, just like I'm doing here. And it's easy at first, and it gets harder towards the end. And so this is the end point when it gets harder. So you can either, at this point, continue to use your fingers in this kind of fashion, or you can use your tire lever, again, stick it under here and wedge it in, okay? So whatever's easier for you. I'm just gonna try and get it with my fingers first. And that went in pretty easy. Not everyone's goes in as easy. So we've got the tire back in the rim. So what we're gonna do at this point is you're gonna check and make sure that the tube is not pinched anywhere along the tire or along the rim, right? Because if that tube is pinched, then you again could puncture the tube when you go to blow it up. So just making sure that that tube is not pinched anywhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the tire back along the whole outer rim, just looking to see if that tube is out anywhere along the side and not pinched. We're good that way, and I'm gonna do it again on the other side. So I'm just checking to see, is that tube pinched anywhere? And I don't see any pinching of the tube. And I think I've gone all the way around. So at this point, this is where you need the CO2 cartridge and your inflator. So what you're gonna do, you've got your inflator, you've got your CO2 cartridge. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put your CO2 cartridge, you're gonna tighten it up really tight into the inflator. So what you do is you're gonna basically put this in, I'm not gonna put mine in all the way, but you're gonna put this in as tight as you can into the inflator. You're then going to put this inflator up onto your valve stem as high as you can. When you release that CO2, that's when the air is gonna fill your tire up with your CO2 and you'll have a full tire. Enough pressure in your tire to get you through the rest of your ride. One thing to remember with the CO2 cartridge is when you do release that CO2 into the tire, it does get really, really cold. So the whole cartridge can get really, really cold. So just keep that in mind as you go to do it. So at this point, we're gonna then go ahead and put the tire back onto the bike. So you're just gonna slide this back in. You're gonna tighten it up. And I usually like to just straddle my bike when I do this part. So what you wanna do here is you wanna tighten it up part of the way. You wanna hold onto this side while you twist this way, keeping this out. as you go, because you're gonna have to then tighten it, finish up tightening it by pulling this forward, as you can see. So tightening it up mostly to max. And then pushing this in to finish tightening it up. So making sure that that's nice and secure. You then want to go ahead and close up that quick release, and your tire should be good to go. So that's how you change a flat tire when you're out on the road. I recommend practicing this several times just to get really, really comfortable with it, so that whenever you're out on a training ride, whenever you're out in a race performing, you're confident that you have the skills and the ability to do it quickly, and to finish up your ride safely and efficiently. So there's your flat tire changing 101. Aim high today, every day.